Da 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 da. What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never met me before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And I was doing a little bit of experimenting in using my Pixel um, as my camera for my live because it has such great resolution, and it just has such a nice feel to it. And I just did some Googling. I worked quite hard on it this afternoon, too. I thought I had it figured out. I even did a couple of test runs and everything. But, right, 10 minutes later, I still haven't figured it out. I should have came in like half an hour ago just to make sure that I had it set up properly. It is what it is. In the meantime, I'm just going to shut this down and yeah, we're just going to have a regular live. But tomorrow, it might be a little bit different. I apologize for being late, Tammy. I was doing a little bit of experimentation. I tried at least 4 times to go live with my camera. Well, with actually my Pixel today instead of using the camera on my laptop. Just didn't quite work out for me. But I'm good with that because it is in our failures, isn't it? That eventually we hit it right. And like I said, this afternoon, I worked on it. Oh my goodness, at least a couple of hours until I figured out the settings on the computer and the settings on the phone. And then all of a sudden, and I was just right. I would not have given up. I had all afternoon to work on it, and I was applying myself in that. And I was kind of proud of myself in the end because, I didn't give up until I got it. But now it's time for me to go live. So I have to take that into consideration. I just can't say, well, I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to keep figuring this out until I hit it right. And everybody's sitting there waiting for me to go live, and I would have spent who knows how much time working on getting it set up again. I would have. It won't. It's something really simple anyway that I had done. But maybe that's a good way to lead into the conversation because we did talk about never giving up yesterday, didn't we? And I applied it to myself today. And again, it worked, right? Just at the end, when you're just so frustrated and you're not going to get it because you're so pig-headed, though, because by your own experience that if you don't give up, eventually something will crack, right? Something will open up to you. And the feeling that you get when you actually have that breakthrough. Oh my goodness, I was clapping to myself and everything when I had it all set up. I didn't even turn everything off. I had everything just set up the way that I wanted to. But in the last minute, I must have had a brain fart because I could not get it to. And I made sure I practiced a few times, right, to make sure that I got it. But in the end, I didn't have it tonight. But tomorrow, when I come in, guaranteed I will have it figured out. Guaranteed I will overcome the failure that I had tonight. Because again, I'm one of those people, just like a pit bull with a piece of raw meat in their mouth, right? When something catches my attention, when I think that I can accomplish something with a little bit of insight, if I can follow my own direction or if I can do some Googling, I did tons of Googling today. But again, in settings and stuff and being not technically inclined, only determined and only trusting that in the end, everything is going to be okay, right? We got this far in our evolution by not giving up, right? We weren't the only human being 40,000, 50,000 years ago that was roaming the earth, but somehow we persevered, right? And not only did Homo sapiens persevere, right? And they say Neanderthals died away and the Denisovans died away, the Homo erectus died away. But they really didn't, because we have DNA of the Denisovans in us. We have DNA of Neanderthals. We even have archaic DNA that we haven't figured out exactly what it is. If it's the Homo erectus, like we haven't been able to get the Homo erectus DNA because we can only go back, I think, 1.6 million years or so. Otherwise, DNA has been deteriorates and you can no longer get any information from it. That's at this point. That's not to say they're just going to say, oh, we're never going to get that DNA for Homo erectus, or we're never going to find out what that DNA is of that archaic human from, right, 1.7 million years ago. That it's never going to happen. If we had that kind of idea, we would never have learned to fly, right? Not technically fly, but if you watch those guys in those squirrel suits that jump off the mountain, like so scary. Can you imagine having nothing but one of those flying suits and then jumping off like the Himalayas or something, and you're just flying down to some valley or something? That would just be absolutely terrifying for me. But it's happening. Somebody with the courage and the bravery, and not necessarily the know-how, right? That know-how comes from trying, never giving up. Just like the Wright brothers, when they created and invented the plane and actually were able to get off the ground for what, 30 seconds, but it counted, right? It counted as flying because they actually got off the ground. And then, that was a success, right? One success. But was it the be all to end all? No. We got 747s now. We have helicopters. We have jets. We have drones. Like it's abs, and we have those flying suits of these people that just jump off the mountains. But that's because we never give up. And it's in our curious minds, and not just in our curious minds, it's in our determination to find solutions, to find answers, to find a better way, right? To find a better way. And if that's the case, then we have that opportunity in our own evolution. And even though the human being at some point might go extinct, it's a possibility, right? It's a huge possibility. But somehow we'll find a way to survive, to integrate, that maybe our DNA will be saved somehow, put in little vials and sent off to space, and right, some spacecraft from another world finds it and decides to bring it back to life, right? Just like the mammoth, just like the Tasmanian devil, just like the dodo bird, right? That things are being resurrected all the time. Whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, well, that's another thing. Like I wouldn't want to see Taya, uh, was it? Tyronius. I can't even say it anymore. Oh my goodness. Been so long since I've been in the dinosaurs. But you know who the T-Rex, right? I was trying to say the whole clinical word for the T-Rex, but that's what I managed to get out tonight, and that's what I managed to get out tonight, right? And it's only in us just stumbling along, right? Just bumbling along and making bad decisions, making good decisions, right? Sometimes those decisions are an amalgamation, an assimilation, a synthesis of many, right? Can you imagine? Actually, if you go right back to the Wright brothers in inventing the airplane and getting off the ground in an airplane, they were actually in a competition, I think, with the French. There was a French group that was also in that race to fly, right? And right in the end, the Wright brothers got it because they managed to get off the ground for 30 seconds, right? But maybe the French, if I got the right country, if the French might have bettered that, maybe a month later, they actually took a flight across to another town, right? Or another village, or maybe they jumped off, right? The Himalayas in their airplane. It's not, right? But I'm just doing that as an example. But again, in talking about failures, right? It's allowed to fail. That's how we learn. We learn from our mistakes. We always do. And we get things better, and then we get things better than that. And, we beat ourselves up when we fail, when we disappoint ourselves, or we disappoint others, or we make bad decisions or bad choices. A bad choice is only a bad choice until you make a different choice. And that's a truth too. Everybody has that right to pivot on the spot themselves. Don't wait for the world to give you that 360 and yank your head in the back, right? Do it yourself. Just do it in little steps. If you know what's going to happen, just do it in little decisions, little choices, little experiments, like I did with my camera today. And eventually, you'll get it right as long as you don't give up, right? Giving up sometimes is right, kind of disheartening, right? Sometimes we feel like just giving up because even though we never give up, that we try, and then a breakthrough happens. After that breakthrough, unless you have another goal, unless you have another mountain to climb, unless you have another chore or another person to serve or a fresh idea, that we can feel disillusioned in that. And there's nothing worse than fighting the give up because it's depressing, right? It's wholly depressing because when you give up, sometimes you just truly want to give up. But we could be that close, like we are in this digital age. Hello, Tammy, and hello, Earl. I hope everybody is having an amazing day. I appreciate that you waited for me to pop in. I was not having camera issues, I was having a camera experience. I was having an experience, I was having a challenge. And it's in our challenges that we get better, right? That we can have pride for ourselves. We can pat ourselves on the back, or we can give credit to say, oh my goodness, thank you so much, Google, for all that information. that I was able to get off you today, that that I didn't go off and buy some secondhand camera off a marketplace just because I wanted a new camera, but not be able to do the research on it and see that it's like 20 years old and doesn't have the features. All it does is take pictures. It doesn't even film properly. Like I said, I'm not technically inclined, but I am willing to learn. And I'm so grateful in that willingness to learn that there are resources out in the world, right? There are resources right at my fingertips to ask questions and to delve deeper and find solutions and make those experience, I was going to say experiences, but it is an experience, the experiments in our lives, in my life, a lot less challenging, a lot more plausible, and not just a lot more plausible. I know it's possible. The only thing that I have to have is that belief that eventually, as long as I don't give up, as long as I adapt and conquer and find another way, that eventually something will crack open, right? Something will reveal itself to give me that, oh my goodness, was that all it was? It was only that button and I could have been on time tonight. Oh, yeah, I was sitting here with my cold cup of coffee waiting to go live, and I had 10 minutes. I said 10 minutes is good enough, right? And I set it all up and everything, and I could tell something at the end was not correct because it was a black screen and I didn't have a black screen when I finally hit it right, so I knew something was up. But I was willing to give it a few more shots, understanding that my audience is understanding, and right, as long as they can see that, well, Cindy's trying to go live, right? Maybe it's the internet, maybe there's a storm out there, something that's interfering, right? But we know Cindy's good to go because we can see that, she's trying to go live. And I appreciate that you guys waited for me and popped in and to hang out with me, to have that little discussion on never giving up. And I won't give up. I'm guaranteeing you guys tomorrow I'm going to have better resolution. It's not going to make any difference on the glare of my glasses, but that's okay. One more, well, I'm not going to say one more week because I don't know how long it's going to take for them to make my glasses because I have a pretty strong prescription. But they say that I could have the eye exam for my contact lenses. Innovation, you guys, just like I'm saying, that I cut off wearing my contact lenses. I think I was 45 years old. My optometrist said they just weren't working for me anymore, that the muscles around my eyes were loosening up, that I had to just be content with wearing my glasses. And I was content with wearing my glasses. And that worked fine for me. But I was online. And again, as things come across my path, that's exactly what happened. A little bit about the innovation about contact lenses expanding, and that seniors are wearing contact lenses now. And I went, oh my goodness, I loved wearing contact lenses. Like they were just so amazing, and they were fairly inexpensive. I think there was like $100 for a couple of months worth of contact lenses when you wear the dailies or the weeklies. I can't remember what I was wearing, but yeah. So he said that I could have the exam and he'll check to see if I can go back into the contact lenses. So I'll do the glasses and the contact lenses. And I will be super happy with that, right? And super grateful for that information coming across my path. Otherwise, I would never have even, right, thought that it was a possibility. Now I'm comfortable in my glasses. I don't like the fact that I do the Morse code with the reflective coating. I totally destroyed the reflective coating during my September trip last year. But we're getting that sorted this week. I got my appointment on Tuesday, and however long it takes for my glasses to come in, I don't think it will take more than a week or so. They do them up pretty fast, and I'll be up and running again with a decent camera and my glasses done, still making movement, still chipping away at the things that will, right, benefit me. And in benefiting me, it will benefit my brand. It'll benefit you guys, right? All being patient and dealing with the I call it Morse code. What was I calling it before that? Oh, fly eyes, right? The fly eyes with the glasses. And I was fairly self conscious about it because, right, I didn't have the money at the moment to pay to have those glasses done. Now that's taken care of, we're going to get it taken care of, right? Just like everything else in my life, I just trust that if I just don't give up, if I just hack away at it, right? And not in a way that I'm pounding myself into the ground, right? You guys know I love challenges, right? I don't like the hairy, scary consistently, but that sense of accomplishment when I do figure something out, that little bit of confidence that it builds in me, right? For everybody too, right? That sense of accomplishment, that sense of pride. And there's no reason to have not have a sense of pride, because we have to understand that, we are an accumulation, an assimilation, a synthesis of many, right? That going forward, we are bits and pieces of many, many things, many different nationalities, different religions, different cultural ideas, different familial ideas. And using my own family as an example, right? My father was spiritual, my mother loved Jesus. So I've got the perceptions, not perspectives, not totally perspectives, because again, we're always moving forward and it's going to be a process, right? We can't have everything yesterday, but we can have a little bit today and a little bit tomorrow, a little bit 10 years from now, right? 10 lifetimes from now, 1.6 million years from now, when they'll actually have that technology, that know how to actually understand our DNA and, right, not just be able to rely on the DNA to tell us the story of our past, but the records that we're keeping now. While in saying that, I could say this digital age could just go poof, right? Could just be gone. And then we would be back into the books, wouldn't we? Right? We'd be right back into the reading and the writing and chiseling, hopefully not to the point where we're chiseling onto sandstone our messages for the future. But it's possible, right? We have gone backwards many times, right? And we have made a mess of things. But that's only in the experimentation, and that's only in the failures and what we don't know in the moment, and just understanding we just don't know in the moment. It doesn't mean that we won't know tomorrow or next year or 10 years or 10 lifetimes from now, right? Because we never give up. We're like pit bulls with a piece of raw meat in our mouth, right? Take that away from me. That's okay. It'll be a pretty good tug of war. And you know what? If you get it, have at her, because I will adapt and conquer, and I will come about it another way, right? I will never give up, and nobody should ever give up. We are just so close to each other right now. We have such a great opportunity to make a big change, not just in ourselves. And right, there's been big change, and I know that possibility, but again, it's only in our choices, right? Whether to use our time and our effort and our noggins, right, in partnering with ourselves, that, down the road, that we might do some really fantastical things. Not that we haven't already, but the thing is, we tend to look at what we get wrong, what we get failing, and we never actually take time to appreciate, to enjoy, and reap, right, what we sow. And I don't mean to throw that quote out there because I've never used that before, but it's so true. We reap what we sow, and we need to appreciate all those baby steps, all those adapt and conquers, all those times that we wanted to give up, but we just didn't. We just kept going. He kept hacking away. We kept believing in ourselves and believing in each other, right? And get to the point, right, that maybe, right, unlike the French and the Wright brothers competing with each other to see who can get into the air, that maybe we could team up together and get that job done faster, better, more more efficiently, and we could be singing, right? While we're doing it. We could be whistling while we work. We could smile when we want to cry, right? I didn't want to cry because my camera shut down. I was disappointed, and it's okay to be disappointed, because in that disappointment we have that choice. Do we give up? Do we try again? Right? Do we look for some help? Do we look for somebody to team up with? Right? And it's only in that reflection that we are eventually going to find the right route, the right way, right? And the right way of being, right? Because I think truly we are a mishmash of everything. We haven't gone backwards, right? It was the good and the bad. It was the light and the dark separated. But I think, it's a bit of both now, because we were willing to partner up. We were willing to accept something or someone a little bit different than us, right? And sometimes it just starts with tolerance. And sometimes, right, it's just understanding that in the end, everything's going to be okay, right? Everything's going to be okay. That's why I don't worry too much about what's going on out there, because whatever is going on out there, it was meant to happen. It really, I believe that it was meant to happen. Even like the catalysts out there. It's not catastrophe. It's catalyst. It's events that have to happen. It's the stirring of the pot. It's making a mess to clean a mess. That's the way I believe, right? And each one of us has the right to believe what we want to believe, right? And that's something new for us because we've never had that opportunity to actually make choices, to take into our consideration our own humanness. And I think that's a beautiful thing, right? I believe we are creating heaven on earth. I really do, right? Might not look quite like what everybody envisions as heaven on earth, but I think whatever ever it is, it's going to be something that we really appreciate. And sometimes that heaven on earth is just a new beginning, a new shot at it, a new try at getting something that we got wrong right. Okay, you guys. Let's just come in here for the moment. True story here. I just bought some yogurt at the grocery store 2 hours ago, so I have something to eat at my house. But thank you, Earl. Oh, what are you talking about? You're good, Cindy. You do good with these live chats and videos. I think that you do very good on your channel. Oh, thank you very much. But it is a learning process. It definitely is. And I know that over the years I have improved in how I show up, in how I present myself. But sometimes we present ourselves as something that we're not because we feel like we're not. You know what I mean? And it's just getting comfortable in our own shoes and in our own skin. And that's the truth. Not wearing my skin, right? Just not wearing it like an outfit, but actually taking into consideration that I'm only human, right? And I can only do the best that I can do in the moment. And if I give it another shot, I'll get better at it, right? Sometimes it just takes time. Sometimes it just takes time, right? Okay, you guys, let's grab a word today. Maybe it'll be relevant to the conversation. Maybe it'll be something way off because, right, whatever says Cindy's been beating herself up a little bit. But truly, I'm not. And if you guys are good with me experimenting a little bit, right, there's only one way to try out new things, and that's to try it out. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'll try again. Okay, you guys, let's just grab a card and we're just going to call it a night. And yeah, it has been a really productive day for me. I got lots of things done. And like I said, I've been working. I was all proud of myself. I thought I had it up running good too. It's just one thing I didn't get right. I don't know what it is, but I'll figure it out after my live show tonight. Okay, you guys, let's grab that card, go into it for a couple of minutes. Oh, my goodness. Genuineness. Genuineness is being comfortable enough to be yourself, right? Understanding I can only be who I am in the moment. And sometimes, like I just said, sometimes we put those airs about us, right? That we don't want people to think that we're incompetent or not bright or right, they all kinds of things that we can think about ourselves that are negative, that are not helpful to us. And so we dress up, we wear the makeup, we do our hair, we we get good grammar, we present ourselves having it down packed. I'm the expert, right? Understanding nobody is the expert, right? In the moment, you might be the smartest person in the room, but I tell you, once it's been done, there's somebody who's going to do it better. It reminds me of that ice skater. What was his name? Oh my goodness. He was the one who did the the quad, right? And nobody ever thought that it could be done, and he did it, right? I don't think it's allowed anymore, or maybe it is allowed anymore, but I remember when he did it. Ah, what was his name? Right on the tip of my tongue anyway, but he did the quad. And as soon as he did that, everybody was doing it, right? And doing it better than he did it. But he was the first. And at that moment, he was the most brilliant at it, right? But again, he was only the most brilliant at it until somebody could do it better, right? And so we should never have those airs about us that, that we would ever look down on somebody else, because you never know. Because in their choices, like I said, at any moment, you could make a different choice. You could be a totally different person. You can give up that one thing that you've been wanting to kick for a decade, possibly, whether it's drinking or smoking dope or eating or compulsive cleaning or hoarding. There's so many things out there that we get addicted to. But if we just chip away at it and just try to get a little bit better, if we never give up and every single one of those fails, eventually, right? Eventually we'll succeed. We will. And the pride and the joy and the determination and that, right? That right to toot your own horn, to be the example for others that it can be done, right? But I think I got a little bit down the side branch on that one, because it is genuineness. But then again, that's my genuineness, because if you've hung out with me for any length of time, you know I love going down the side branches. And if it happens in my life, which it almost always does, then that's an experience for all of us, right? I don't want to come in here, right, in in anything else except who I am in the moment. That's not to say that I'm not going to change 6 months, 10 months, 10 years down the road. Change is always happening. But in that change, I would like to think that I would be genuine in it. Maybe my pronunciation would be a little bit better. Maybe I'll be a few pounds lighter, right? Maybe the decor around me will be a little bit better. Maybe I'll have a better camera. But whatever it is, whoever I am in that moment, that's who I'm going to be, right? Genuineness is being comfortable enough to be yourself. And I don't expect anything else from anybody, right? For myself, being highly sensitive and empathic, I can see through the phony baloney, right? But that's not fair to the people who haven't had those experiences that created the sensitives that we are, because they can't read the phony baloney and they could get tricked into that. And so it's important for us to understand, right? We earned those badges. We have every right to use those resources that we earned as tools to pull them out whenever we feel that we need them. But if we can pull them out when somebody else isn't able, or have those tools themselves, that's a little bit of service. That's a little bit of kindness for people who just don't have those lessons yet. But that doesn't mean tomorrow they won't have that insight, that know-how, that new belief, because we have the right. We had that word. Um, I've been talking about it a few times this week. That word perception, right? That word perception is the process in coming to a perspective. And unless you hold true, 100% that this is the truth, right? Then it's always going to be a perception. But that's not a bad thing, because a perception is that willingness to be course corrected in what we've got wrong, right? And again, I pulled myself away down a side branch, right? But in that genuineness, I am who I am, right? And I'm grateful for all of you guys for hanging out with me and waiting for me while I was doing my little experiment with my Pixel to see if I could use it as a webcam. And I can. I just kind of hit the wrong button somewheres, but I didn't want to keep you guys waiting tonight. So we're going to try again tomorrow. And if I don't get it right tomorrow, try it again on Monday. Okay, you guys, that's my good cheer. Everybody, have a great night. Bye-bye.